of corrections? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. We have scheduled appointments tonight. Is Commissioner Mike Causey present, or his staff?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Causey is on his way, should be here shortly.
And we will take him when he comes. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, moving on to B, Ms. Betts.
Yes, sir. We have Karen LaChapelle, our Health Department Director, to present COVID-19. Good evening. Things are getting a little busier in Edgecombe County as far as COVID goes. This report came to me on July 26th, and we had, at that time, we had 5,818 cases of COVID in the county. The last month, we have averaged about 60 cases a day, which is a little bit higher than the month before, which I think was 5 a day. Since the last time that I reported to you from this, we had, it's an increase of 22 cases. We continue to have testing at Heritage Park in Princeville and behind the Town Hall in Pine Tops for anyone that would like to be tested for COVID. Also, Freedom Hill and Violet Multi-Specialty Clinic and OIC also continue to provide testing. And we are providing testing at our Rocky Mount office on Thursdays? Wednesdays. Until we have a sudden exit date.
Until. Hope
it's not too long. But still the age group that has more positive cases in guys age 25 to 49 of our cases, that was 2,142. That's plus 47. More females have gotten it than males. More whites still than any other race in the county. And we have had 396 positive people in the hospital. We have had an increase in our deaths to 120 deaths. And the majority of the deaths have occurred between 75 plus, that's 63. We've had 53 blacks pass away and 64 whites and 3 others. More females have died than males. We've had 61 females and 59 males. Any questions about that?
Any questions of the health director?
I have a question. How many people are hospitalized currently in Edgecombe County due to COVID?
I don't have that number. I can get it for you.
How many beds are available in Edgecombe County ICU beds? Do you have that number?
No, I don't. I know that at one time we were one of the drop sites for the whole region.
So we're averaging in the month of July 6 cases per day,
That's what I have.
where there was 5 cases per day in June. Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
With that in mind, should we be following the CDC's recommendation?
I always recommend that we follow the CDC.
You said in your report, they recommend that people, even though fully vaccinated, wear masks and cover, even except in areas of substantial or high transmission. We live in an area of high transmission.
Well, according to the CDC tracking map, yes, we are. We're in the red. So far, the health department has given over 16,000 vaccinations to Edgecombe County and surrounding areas. I think as far as we go, we gave a vaccine was in Mecklenburg County. Somebody came up for that. And total first and second doses that we've given, this is a combination, 38,350 Edgecombe County residents have had the vaccine. That's what first and second doses. But breaking that number down a little bit further, 20,007 for first doses only, and 18,343 are fully vaccinated in Edgecombe County. We continue to decline in the number of vaccine we're giving every day. We give vaccine every day at both health departments. And we also have the National Guard. These are some events that were planned around the county. We also have the National Guard going out and doing pop-up vaccination events around the county with different groups. Some of the groups they worked with was Piggly Wiggly here in Tarboro, the Juvenile Detention Center, Meade in Rocky Mount. We've also, at the request of Judge Wiggins, been to the district court. I think that was last Wednesday that we went there. We continue to go every month to the detention center here in Edgecombe County. We work with St. Luke's, we're going to work with St. Luke's Church, but you can read all these that we've got. But if you've noticed, we've given, of the sites that we've already been to, we've given 44 additional doses, which I wish was a lot more, but we're trying. And we have our doors open Monday through Friday for walk-ins and that you want to get it.
Question. Have giving the gift card helped any?
Well, we're just starting that. We'll start that now, this Thursday, and that'll only be given in both our health department offices, the one in Rocky Mount and the one here in Harbor. That's the only place we'll be given the gift cards. And in the stipulations, I also thought, the news release that we gave out, which gives the guidelines of how you can get the cards.
If you don't mind, you were naming these pop-up sites. We're looking at it, but people out there don't know where they are.
Okay, it's on the website. You can get it on the website. And each site that we work with, I'll be glad to go back and if you're
Now, I'm just saying, just in case there's someone out there that would like to know where they are.
Okay. So you want me to go down and read all these off?
Just where they are. And
Okay.
just tell, the congregation.
Okay, on 8/4, we'll be at Acme United on Tanner Road. On the 5th, we'll be at South Rocky Mount Community Center. That's the back to school bash. And then on the 6th, we'll be at the Honda plant out there. And on the 7th, we'll be at Hill Family Farms. And then we'll be going back on the 14th to the community college. Rocky Mountain Housing Authority on the 14th. 9 to 2, both times, one at Wicks Armstrong and one at West End Terrace. And then Thorns Chapel Missionary Baptist Church on the 20th from 9 to 3.
No,
And if anybody has anybody that wants us to contact or anybody that we could also partner up with, we'd be glad to do that. These groups have done the promoting themselves as well as we did some too, and the Guard also.
Thank you.
We are hoping that the cards will help out because that's for bringing first times. If you come in first time, we're bringing someone in for the first time. It's a $25 gift card. The sites where you can get COVID vaccines are still the same. Freedom Hill, the Health Department, OIC, Contops Pharmacy, Rural Health Group, Vitamin Multi-Specialty Clinic, Thorn Drugs, Bryan's, Walgreens, and Walmart. And now I'm happy to say we have some of all the vaccine able to. Somebody comes in wants Pfizer, we've got Pfizer now. Or if they want Janssen, we've got that also. Or Moderna.
Next question. Have we checked with maybe, I was reading in Martin County, they've been able to get their number up to 60% of their residents. Is there any way for us to check with their health department?
I know that Health Director will. I'll be glad
And
to
find out what kind of things we may be forgetting to do, because they're kind of like our size,
Right.
to see if there's something we might be able to add to get our numbers up. Because that's a very high number, that's higher than the state, like 60%.
I have a question. Do we keep up where our vaccination rate is low within the county, so we know where to target our resources.
We have been doing that.
So what area of Edgecombe County has the greatest proportion of unvaccinated people?
Well, unfortunately, when you look at it, it always tells us that Carver and Rocky Mount are the lowest vaccinated areas in
Within the municipalities?
But, you know, when you dig deeper into it, it's really the rural areas.
So,
So, yeah.
Except
so
Macclesfield.
what area is within the rural
Like
areas?
Macclesfield is
Pine Top is the lowest.
So is there a way that we can deploy resources into the area that's most needed?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I knew that we had to help with the National Guard. That was kind of, when they came last time, talking about that.
We have, like, this is just what we've got booked so far, but we're still working with some other groups to try to get scheduled.
And remind me, you said early on, how many Edgecombe County citizens have tested positive since the beginning of the pandemic?
Don't you know that piece of paper won't come up?
5,834.
What I got off the information I got is 5,880. And I gave you something that's, it's, from the last time I reported to you, it was 114 cases, not 22.
There's been 114 new cases in the last 30 days.
Yeah. And when I figured the 6, I figured that from July the 1st to August the 2nd, because that's when our data was reported. You see what I'm saying?
6 times 30 is 180.
Yeah.
But you're saying
Well,
114.
that's what we got.
All right, so we'll just go back and look at that, but
Yeah.
that's too difficult.
Well, now, this is from the state. Now, let me tell you, this is probably, this number right here, because if you go on the state website and look at how many deaths we have, they're going to tell you 115.
There's a little variance between
Yes.
the two.
What I gave you with the 6 is true raw data that comes into the health department every day.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have something, Mr. Chairman. If you go to the second page of the report, just to give you all an update on the staff, the county manager's estimate is that the vaccination rate of our active employees is around 42%. And to incentivize more employees to get vaccinated, he suggested that we have a drawing. Every employee who provides proof of vaccination will be entered into the drawing for the following prizes. If approved, he will determine the details and timing of the drawing. And the drawings, the prizes include 5 to 8 hours of administrative leave, $25 gift cards, 10 $25 gift cards, 5 $50 gift cards, 2 $100 gift cards, and 1 $500 gift card. And again, this is a way to incentivize more of our employees to get vaccinated.
Is that something you would be requesting of us?
Yes,
today?
that's the recommendation, sir.
You would be requesting that they need approval?
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Chairman, so you were saying if you have showed proof of vaccination, you can enter in this drawing?
Yes, sir.
Is that, while we got that on your, while you brought it to our attention, is there a motion?
I make that motion.
Second? Question? All in favor, let it be known by the vote saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, the county manager also has permission to move forward with that.
I do have one more announcement. Tonight will be my last commissioners meeting with you. I've announced my retirement. Section 1, not that I'm really excited, which I am, very much so.
Just smile.
It has been a pleasure to serve you as your county health director and also to serve you guys as a county health director. I never dreamed that I would get this opportunity, and it has been a job of a lifetime. The last 18 months have been pretty tough, but it's been a pleasure.
Well, I think it's an option, so thank you for your service. And, you know, you've been a familiar face now here for a long time.
I've been here, well, I will have 30 years of service, but
In Edgecombe County?
all but 6 months in Edgecombe.
Oh, okay, so that's a tremendous record.
But I have a year and 17 months of sick, so you know how that works.
I was taking retired, so I know how that works. Okay?
And Michelle Etheridge is who has been appointed as.
Well, just let us stand as an introduction.
Good evening, I'm Michelle Edwards. I'm with the Edgecombe County Health Department, and I'll be serving as interim health director.
She's been with us for 21 years.
In Edgecombe?
Yes.
Well, congratulations on the appointment. We look forward to working with you, and thank you very much for your service.
She walked out of college right in there.
Right in here.
And there.
So we kind of got her.
He was married a local boy.
Oh,
We're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The commissioner come in?
Yes, sir.
Please come forward, please.
Yes, sir. This is Mr. Mike Crosby, North Carolina Commissioner of Insurance, is here to present a volunteer award and grant presentations to our local fire department.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for being here, County Commissioners. It's good to be back in Edgecombe County. It's an honor to be here as your insurance commissioner, state fire marshal. And we have a special award I'd like to present to Mr. Will Wooten. I believe here he is. I have an award if somebody will bring it to me.
You got the floor, go ahead.
Well, congratulations. You all know the story about
Tell us the story.
what he did. Right? I mean, I heard about, I think it was in the news when I heard about it, that the fire department is which Heart Cease Volunteer Fire Department, and for his Eagle Scout project, he was going to raise about $2,800, I think was his goal, to buy a set of turnout gear and selling donuts and car wash. He was so successful at what he did. He didn't stop at 2,800. He didn't stop at 20,000. I believe he hit 22,000.
25,000.
I'm sorry. $25,000. So on behalf of North Carolina, I'd like to present you the State of North Carolina Department of Insurance Commissioners Award, and in sincere appreciation for all that you do and for the citizens of North Carolina. And it's just an honor, Will, for me to present this award to you. So,
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Let's give him a hand.
You will.
That's fine. Mr. Wilson, you like
I have to look up to him.
I'm gonna need to stand behind here so I'm as tall as you.
And Mike, Heart Cease Fire Department here too? They are. And they might, if y'all want some pictures, with the commissioner, whatever, we stand at recess for a few
Family
minutes.
first,
One of you want to come on this side? All right, let's squeeze in.
This way, cheeseburger.
Donuts, car wash.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We've already transferred the money into their account, so they probably already spent that. But Heart Cease is up first, and they qualified for $29,842.56. Volunteer Fire Department fund, so congratulations, thank you. Appreciate it. Turn around and look at Barry. Thank you for all you do. And we can't say enough good things about our volunteer fire department. Canitney Volunteer. Anita. Somebody here?
He probably didn't make it, he's farming.
You want to come on up here?
He's probably farming, he probably didn't get off the track.
He told me something about he was going to retire. I don't know where that came from.
Come from me.
Kanita, I gotta get it right. I gotta burn it in my. Will you take this to them? They, $10,642.98. Looks like it could've got 2 more pennies. Leggett, somebody here from Leggett, you might have to come back.
I think everybody gets to see it. Let's see.
$9,151 even.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, we appreciate all that. Thank you. We may have. All right, Lewis Community, anybody, here we go. $12,200 and no pennies. Somebody keeping tabs on this money. Pine Tops, they almost maxed out. The maximum grant's $30,000, so $29,587.50. So you're double vol, I appreciate all you do for your service.
Thank you.
And Princeville Volunteer Fire Department, here we go, $24,325.91. Thank you for your service and all you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And Speed Volunteer Fire Department, is anybody here from Speed?
They didn't make it in.
Come on, you get to do it again. Speed, like, almost hit the top out of it, $29,906 even, so,
They didn't fall on mine.
they did this. Hang on, you may have to do another.
West Edgecombe.
Oh, that's yours. West Edgecombe. Here we go. Here's another one. I don't know why y'all couldn't get $8 more. $29,992.
All right.
Y'all, you all give a speech if you want to.
Well, I would, but it ain't made out to me.
He probably wants it. There's over $175,000, Mr. Chairman, that went to help, and then they raised money on top of that. So I just can't say enough good things about all our volunteers. And I don't have to tell you, if you all had to pay for the services of what you get from our volunteer fire departments, you probably couldn't afford it. So thanks to all our volunteers, and thank you all for what you do. And if we can ever help you from the Department of Insurance, just give me a call, let us know. It's glad to be back here with you again.
Well, thank you for helping our volunteer partners. Thank you, sir. We're back in session now.
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
They just didn't have any patches.
That's my job. Where is this?
Yes, sir. We have Mr. Grace Lewis, tax administrator, who will present the 2020 annual settlement. In addition to the annual tax collector settlement, Ms. Lewis will discuss the notification received from the state recommending we advance on schedule for revaluation, as well as a request for a refund from the taxpayer due to an error on the tax record. We support the tax administrator's recommendation on all three matters.
Please come forward.
Good evening, board. Thank y'all. We have a busy schedule for y'all tonight. But the most important thing is the annual settlement. I I'm sure y'all, I would love to not share this with y'all prior to, because I wanted the enthusiasm of being able to tell you how much we increased in our tax collections rate last year. But unfortunately, you needed it in front of you, so you got it. And so we're gonna do that. You have a copy of your annual settlement required by state statute in your agenda package. As you can see, the collection rate for annual taxes went up from 93.76% for fiscal year 1920 to 95.79 for fiscal year 2020-2021, an increase of 2.03%. Just for informational purposes, we also report on motor vehicle and CBTS collections, which was 99.32%, a 0.55% increase from the past fiscal year. With this increase in motor vehicle collections as well as annual collections, our overall collection rate ended with a combined rate of 96.24%. With all the challenges and restrictions.
What's the highest been since you've been?
That is the previous, prior to COVID, was the highest we've ever had, as far as my 23 years here. And as far as my tax records that I've researched, went back to 20 years. I went back 20 years.
So this is the highest.
This is the highest that we have had in Edgecombe County, to my knowledge. Yay! With the challenges and restrictions of COVID-19 we've had to endure, I'm very, very pleased with what my staff has accomplished this year. I certainly did not expect to gain what we lost from COVID and actually increase that from the previous year rate. It is the highest collection rate Edgecombe County has had in the past 20 years. And I would like to thank you guys and Mr. Evans and Ms. Best for the continued support in our efforts to collect. I do have a few statistics that we always, like, if you have any questions about what we've done to accomplish that, I'm happy to answer any of those questions. So the 2003 is the figures that I have in front of me back, and that tax collection rate for all bills at that time was 91.29. So that's where we came from since 2003 to 96.24%. So I would like to say that I feel like our foreclosures and has been the largest reason for this increase. This past year, we have collected for a foreclosure process, and this is not always selling them on the courthouse steps. This is starting from our collections office, being selective and aggressive about the accounts that we choose to enforce. Miss Nanette Thompson and Mr. Peters' office, how she researches up front and not after the foreclosure. That we were able to collect $1.1 million through the foreclosure process alone this past year. And current year taxes out of that figure were $502,922. Past year taxes were $613,604.64. So we have done a huge accomplishment of that. And even through COVID, we've been selective in choosing not to foreclose on properties that are occupied. This is all vacant residences that we have foreclosed on, or actually sold on. And we have not purchased a property at all last fiscal year. None. We sold every one of them. We did have
You
a
said we have
total.
not purchased, means the county, we don't own it.
That's correct.
Until she just changed it.
I'm
That's
sorry.
a jinx. The jinx gonna go to you.
We did submit 480 parcels to his office to collect this year, and that is tremendous amount of work for our staff and his staff to be able to work on. But, you know, that's all of us pulling together and working to one goal. His office has also helped us work on garnishments with S-Chiefs through the state. That has collected us $19,210. And that, well, if you guys don't know what S-Chiefs is, that's your unclaimed money. Those people that owe taxes are sitting out there having funds that they don't know about, or we're claiming them. We're looking them up and we're getting their money they don't know about to satisfy their taxes.
Well, they don't miss it, they didn't know they had it.
But
That's
it helps,
it.
it helps them, they've got an extended fund out there.
That's right.
And they really don't have to come up with money, they're getting it from.
That's right. We collected, like I said, it was $19,210 worth, out of that process, along with, our normal wage garnishments, bank attachments, share of executions, and other enforcements that we do in our office, debt set off. We're still using our normal day-to-day stuff. We're writing payment plans and we're calling them. This year, what we are talking about doing is actually the people who go into a formal payment plan, offering them bank draft options for that monthly payment. So we don't have to call them next month, why don't you make your payment? We're gonna try to set those up on draft and actually, do that for them. So we're trying to get those hurdles accomplished and move forward in the new year. We did have some bankruptcies, like we always do. It did not increase, it actually went down this past year with only 33 filings. So that's a positive, that people were not feeling a hardship and to the need that they needed to file bankruptcy. Is there any other questions that you guys may have on the settlement?
And what do we need to approve here?
You guys need to accept the settlement and charge the new year, or charge me with the new year collection.
I have one question. Chairman,
Go ahead.
oh, brother, one time. While at the national conference, we had a few state counties and other states who said they offer a discount on taxes. If folks pay them like when they first get the bill, by June, they get like a 0.02% reduction, that kind of, is that something that's offered in North Carolina?
It is, I do find that not many counties are doing discounts anymore. The only surrounding county that I'm aware that still does that is Pitt County. They do still offer the ability to do discounts if you'd like to do that.
And that was why their rates were so high, because they were offering those
Reduction.
reductions if you paid by the actual due date, that kind of thing.
Yes, ma'am. We do, several years ago, we put in our tax bills the ability to pay under installments. And that has helped. A lot of people thought that they needed to pay that bill all at once and hold it. And so this is kind of encourage them and give them the way and the resources to be able to do that. And so we do find that people pay 12 months and some pay 6 months. And that's also helped.
Again, following, state what our action needs to be.
The action needs to be to set the settlement as presented and to charge me with collecting the 21-22 taxes.
Is that a motion?
Second.
Moved in second. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. And you are so charged.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so on to the next. All right, so Mr. Evans mentioned that you guys got a letter from Nash County as well as I did. But you got the letter before I could share my letter that I got from the state of North Carolina. Several years ago, back in 2017, the North Carolina Department of Revenue put in place a revaluation standard. That being because some people with some counties can do revaluations more frequent than 8 years. But some counties do not see a change and cannot afford to process a revaluation more frequently than the 8 years. So they did a guideline and put certain standards in that guideline to say, hey, if it goes above this, we need to do this. If it goes below this, you need to do this. And so every year by April 30th, they send out letters to us notifying, this is what your sales looks like. This is what we recommend you doing. Well, I shared with you the letter where our sales was awesome. We did fine with that. But there's another piece of that came back 0.38% higher. And it's what we call our coefficient of dispersion. And what that does is, I wrote this down just so I know, it's simply the ratio of the standard deviation within
the ratio. So it is detecting any changes and any deviation within that sales ratio study. So if it's high, that's meaning you got a lot of just, variances happening. If it's lower, that's really good. But we are at 20.3, what was it, 20 point, well, I can't even find it. 25.38, excuse me, it's 25.00 is the standard, and 25.38 is our median ratio. So that because of that 0.38%, they're recommending that we push up our revaluation by 1 year. Okay, so when I got that letter, I contacted Nash County. Ms. Doris Sumner over there shared that she got a little bit different letter from the state. Their sales ratio was actually at 84.3%, and they were being mandated to do a revaluation effective January 1, 2024. So that's why she sent the letter from Nash. They appealed it. They reviewed their data. They wanted to make sure that the state's ratios were correct, and they determined that it was. And they sent out a notification that there were no options. Nash County would have to increase their reval by 1 year. With us wanting to stay on the same cycle for the benefit of our adjoining municipalities, I spoke with Mr. Evans, and I recommend us going ahead with the January 1, 2024 revaluation cycle instead of January 1, 2025.
That's kind of what we move forward with.
They have no choice. Yes, sir.
There was some discussion that we would, some years ago,
Yes, sir.
in terms of both counties would be consistent because of the fact that we have cities across the cities that in both counties that if we did it, we need to do it at the same time.
That's correct. With us, if we do decide to go with the 2024 revaluation cycle, that will also put us in line with the County of Wilson. So Wilson, Edgecombe, and Nash, which if you're familiar with Sharpsburg, that town is split by all three counties. So that would put us on the same revaluation cycle as them as well.
I think it's fair for us to believe that if they've mandated it for Nash, they're going to mandate it for us.
Yes.
So it's going to be a mandate. The letter's a mandate for that.
Regardless, if we didn't do the 2024, we would be starting it next year anyway. Because we have to start 2 years prior to the effective date, so we would basically be up and everything going into contract this fiscal year, at the end of this fiscal year, versus next fiscal year.
But will this action put us on a 4-year cycle, or we just doing this one earlier?
That's right. That is not changing our cycle year from 8 years. That is just bumping our established cycle up by 1 year due to the recommendations of the state.
Motion? Second?
Second.
Question? All in favor of the tax collector recommendation, let it be known by the vote sign aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, so done.
Okay. The next item on the agenda, and you guys typically don't see the letters that we get because you just get the report at the end. But this particular citizen asked for me to share it with you, so that's why I forwarded it and had it put on the agenda. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have regarding the letter that you guys read from Mr. Swinton.
To break it down to a original letter.
Okay. So basically, overall, Mr. Swinton was selling his property in May. His appraiser brought it to his attention that he was being taxed for a couple of acres more than what his deed said that he owned. They contacted us, we did the research and determined that was accurate. That he was being overassessed by $14,850. Yes, $14,850. And my research has showed that has happened ever since the parcel was created back in 1993. And sometimes how this happens is anytime you get a deed, it tells you your acreage is more or less. because until you go and actually physically put it on the land and measure it out, it could be off, it's typically not off a whole acre, let alone 2 acres. But when it comes through our office and we actually draw that split out, the computer calculates what that drawing is within that area. This one happens to have calculated 20.42 acres instead of the 17.45. The taxpayer gets a letter well, not a letter, but a tax bill every year. And if your property is valued based on acreage, that bill tells you how many acres is being taxed there. If it's just valued simply a lot value, it will say lot. It won't say what it is. You also get a revaluation notice and opportunity to appeal every 8 years. So this particular parcel went through with this owner, not just the 2 prior owners, but this owner went through 2 reval cycles and 13 years worth of tax bills before it was brought to our attention. With all that being said, we understand it's unfortunate he overpaid his taxes, but the law says that 105-381 says that you have 5 years from the date the payment was paid or first became due, whichever is the later. So it's like 6 months from the tax first was paid or 5 years from the tax first became due. He would only be eligible for a refund for 2020 through 2016, according to the North Carolina statutes, totaling $705.60 from us, and then whatever the city of Rocky Mount's rate would be applicable because it's located inside the city limits. He was not happy with that, and he wanted to see how you guys felt. And I'm sorry, it's unfortunate, but the taxpayer at this time also played some role in accepting that liability when he made that payment every year.
Well, I kind of want to disagree with you some.
I understand.
Okay, in terms of this taxpayer, this was our error. And we don't usually question our public offices in terms of whether they made an error. And this would not have come about if he was not selling. As I read, the lawyer, the sales attorney determined what is our authority in this. What is our authority?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Ms. Lewis stated that statute 105-381 subsection A. Statute does say anytime within 5 years after the tax is paid. There are only limited circumstances where the county can refund taxes, and one of them is a clerical error, which this would fall under, but it's within that 5 years.
So you're saying that statute just gives us only 5 years within that one? I think he's do all of it. Okay, I can only do what the statute, but this man is punished based on our error. Okay? And if there's nothing in the statute that gives us that leeway, we can't do it. Okay. But I think that I agree with the taxpayer in terms of this, and we can't blame it on anybody. These errors do happen. It's not blame it.
Oh, I understand.
Okay, but it is stating when we make these kind of errors and we can correct them, we need to correct them to the fullest extent that we can. And you're saying that based on the statute, that's all we can do?
Yes, sir.
Question. Do we have to take action on this? That's action of yours.
You will get the action on the agenda next month once we show the direction.
Am I reading that he had overpaid $14,850?
No, sir, that is the value. So once you apply the rate, it works out to be $141.11 per year.
How many?
$141.11.
How much is that for?
Times 13 years.
Well,
If we were
Well,
paying all, how much would it be?
I don't have
Mr. Wood got that, he used to be.
15,000, roughly.
No, I'm talking in terms of what we would owe that tax rate.
1,500. What did you say? 141?
141.11 times 18,000.
18,343 on.
$1,830. $1,833.
1,833. We're
Well,
gonna pay.
so you send the action, you just report this to us.
Yes, sir, I was just sharing and asking for direction, because this
But there's
citizen
no
asked
doubt
for me
that
that,
the statute gives us direction.
that's right.
Oh.
The citizen asked for me to share it, so.
That is, and I think it should be shared.
And so, once, I do what law allows, what the statute allows, then it will hit your refund approvals for, during next month's
You're
agenda.
trying to understand how much we actually owe you.
Just
That's
for
what
the
it
5 years.
just calculated, what, $1,800?
$1,833.
If we paid in fall
If-
13
if-
years.
If we paid him.
by statute.
But with the
Oh.
statute-
But by statute, it's
$705.60.
Well, I'm mad with the city about paying that, I mean, the county about paying that much money, they can't get it back, but
So,
I
I
think,
see
I
you
think,
asked for Rocky Mount to do the same.
Rocky Mount would do it based on our
well.
recommendation, and, yeah, they,
really, because they're based on,
Our
their
assessment.
tax rate is different, but the error is here.
that's correct, it's our assessment.
So who's gonna explain to him what you just read about statute?
I've already explained that in an email to him and shared the statute, but once I write the, process the refund, he will get a letter as well as, the copy of the statutes again and the check from myself.
Can he go anywhere else after that?
The only thing that we researched, Mr. Peters, was that he could file something with the court system.
There's no-
But there's nothing in the statutes that says there's any other further appeal.
Right, there's no appeal right listed in that statute section. If you did not take action for some reason, then he would have the right to file an action to get the.
If you were not paying what we decided.
If you just ignored it, for example.
But we don't intend to ignore it.
No.
And, but I do think that the taxpayer needs some type of letter from us.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is standard procedure, yes, sir. We do
With the
mail the
check.
letter.
with the check.
I haven't issued the check, I was waiting for guidance.
It's got to come back to us. He just notified us tonight, it will come back to us to take that action. Okay.
That's correct.
At least contact the taxpayer in terms of that will be forthcoming.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
that will be forthcoming. And that we're fulfilling our statutory requirements. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other
He can't
comments?
file a lawsuit, right?
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Anything else on this issue?
No, sir.
Anything else for the taxpayer?
Not until you get to release the refunds at the end of the
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Great job
Thank y'all.
on all of these. Is there anybody here, to speak on public petitions? Does anybody like to speak to the board? If not, is there anybody that you need to read?
Yes, sir. None of us submitted.
Having none, moving from public petitions to other business, is there anything on the eight, this list that you need to bring to the board's attention?
Yes, sir. The consideration of approval of the budget amendments. In your packet, you have the budget amendments which reflect the additional appropriations of funding, transfers between departments greater than $5,000, transfers within departments greater than $10,000. And there are also two that are at your desk that were not included. It is recommended that you approve the attached budget amendments as presented.
With these added,
Yes, sir.
motion to approve? Move. Second? Check. Questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I added the total, this, from what I could see, was $1,172,000 from various accounts appropriated out of our fund balance. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
One night, one time, and it was, I think it was like 6 different requests. You know, Finance committee hasn't had an opportunity, budget committee hasn't had an opportunity to look at it.
Right, our finance director is here. I believe those were based off, Catherine, can you explain?
Some of them are, well, there's
And we can't get it back out.
a couple of them, are from, funds that were not, excuse me.
Specific,
Like the medical examiner, the 90,000. supposed to be in the original budget.
So we just left it out of the original budget.
Well, it didn't pull over from the recommended to the approved in the system. So
What
Okay.
causes that? What causes that?
Munis could not, I mean, the software company that I notified with the change, I think we talked about that, Billy, you remember one meeting when we talked about some problems with the system? They could not explain what had happened. That's two of the things I found.
So, and another one was from the sheriff's office, $267,000.
Now, that is, the email from the one fund, that's in a separate fund, that's not in the general fund, that's in Fund 22.
Okay, all right.
Not general fund.
And then I saw $229,000 from fund balance for adoption promotion program.
That is DSS.
So we just left it off when we all met for our budget, that was not included.
No, that is funds that they received last year, that gets rolled over to this year, they did not use them all, so it rolls over to this year.
But we didn't approve it in our budget.
Yes, well, no, we didn't now, but this is in Fund 19, not 10, general fund.
So we haven't got to worry about that.
Right.
The money was already there, we just didn't carry
We
it
just rolled it
forward.
over.
Okay. Just want to go through if you don't mind.
Well, while you're talking, I think it raises the question of how does it impact the fund balance, different from what we had thought.
Well, and exactly, I mean, it looks like we're appropriating $1 million roughly more from our fund balance than what we had originally appropriated.
Well, it won't be, if you add them all up, yes, it's
Yes.
gonna add up to that, but not all out of, Fund 10.
Right, not from that one,
So
but,
not just
So-
fund balance you're thinking about.
so like right here is to appropriate funds from fund balance to cover the biotech lease payments, $277,000.
Okay, that did not roll over. Okay,
So-
so when we reclassified how we're gonna do the, per our auditor's, suggestion, we reclassified how we were gonna pay the biotech lease payment, and then the loan also separately separated those two. So when they did, the amount that got separated did not roll over to the new number. We had to set up a new account number.
And then the forestry service, we're having to appropriate roughly $107,000.
That's right, that was the outside agency.
And then EMS equipment, $430,000.
Now, that was money that was received from Medicaid cost settlement, that did not come from general fund.
It did not, even though it says from fund
It
balance.
goes into fund balance, it goes into fund balance when we close the year in.
Okay.
We've not closed the year in 21 yet. But when we do, it goes into that fund balance and I take it right back out.
So we're gonna have those proceeds coming in and then we appropriate.
They are,
But it's
and
not-
we didn't use them, but, COVID and 3 of the ambulances that were ordered and obligated to be paid for in fiscal year 21, they were not ready at the end of the year, so we have to go over that money when they're ready to be picked up this year.
What I think needs to happen here, I think that, when Mr. Evans is back, you, Mr. Evans, and the finance committee to get together. And what we need to see is the difference in how has this impacted our fund balance? And what actually, the actual amount that's coming out of fund balance, because based on the questions of what I'm hearing, we don't know.
It's just the way we have to write it up.
But
But there is some new net money from fund balance,
Yeah, the forestry, the medical examiner,
the
and
$277,000 we
the
said.
payment that was separated.
But there's still money that we were not aware
Those
that was going to create a lower fund balance. That's, I think, the question.
The good news is the fund balance was a little better than we anticipated too.
Yes,
A little bit.
it is, but just, you know, just go.
But it won't be-
doesn't mean we
Oh,
expect it.
no, I'm not saying that at all,
But it would keep us with a better picture
yeah.
of what our fund balance is, so that I don't think you'll be able to answer all those questions tonight, okay?
Now,
Okay, it gives you and the staff a time to, with the committee, and get those and have them for our next meeting. Okay.
I agree, Mr. Chairman. I also have one other request, is that $2 two items ahead of us on the agenda is consideration of approval or revision of capital improvements plan, attachment 5, which is C on other business. And our county manager's recommended that we approve this. It's $538,000, and I can't get it to add up on the spreadsheet that was given to us. I don't know where that 538 is being recommended to be spent.
Okay.
So I would recommend that it meet with the budget committee about that
answer
too.
that and tell you why.
But it's a lot of money just to throw at us at one night.
That 538 on the spreadsheet, I think it includes, this number includes the rollover money
Including ambulance
from
money,
EMS.
$416,000.
Well, with the spreadsheet we have, when we look at it closely, and I did, in green it says recommended adding, but that sum of recommended adding is pushing $1 million. When you add up all the green.
That includes the 400 and what? EMS.
Mr. Chairman, I just feel uncomfortable
460,000.
personally, individually, when the budget committee, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars on one equation, then here's another $538,000 broken down by individuals. And I know we told Mr. Evans that we would have to come back and look at this at the beginning of the fiscal year, but we haven't had a chance to discuss that and know exactly what it is.
I mean, you're,
Right.
but that 900
So what are you trying to say here?
I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, that the budget committee at least have an opportunity to discuss this with Mr. Evans when he returns.
Not approve the budget amendment.
Well, I think we need to approve it and do not move forward with it at such time as and it still gives options.
Well, once it's approved, the money is earmarked and can be spent.
Well, it doesn't have to be spent, because we can always rescind it. Well, so what is your suggestion here? Which one of these?
Well, I understand. I don't want to tie his hands either on some of those items that might need to have movement right now. Because there was some of them, if I remember, that needed movement now. Mr. Chairman, I'm sitting here thinking just off the cuff, but if we approve these budget amendments tonight, subject to the committee's meeting, and given the committee leeway to have the authority not to spend the money, I just don't think that's probably the way we need to go.
Well, it was not my thoughts in giving that thought, because I don't think we can let a budget committee spend money. Okay.
Right, well, if we approve the budget, and we've approved them to spend 100% of the money requested.
But if it's not sent out, it's not spent until it's paid. Okay. So what is the request here? What is the, Ms. Best, in terms of these budget amendments, in terms of what would it hold up?
There's a few, I think, that need, 538,000, I'm just looking over that, you know, there are things that wouldn't be paid right away anyway, because they're, approving vehicles, and they have to be ordered, and, they won't be able to be, done right away.
How about the ambulance?
Some of the building grounds things, Mike can probably tell you where they are on those. But, on your spreadsheet, again, that 916 doesn't, that 954 does include the 416 that was already appropriated for ambulances, it's already.
But the request is for $538,000 new dollars.
Yes,
That's got to come from our
We did
fund
not put in
balance.
the original budget.
That's right, and then what we discussed on B of other business, we think is at least another $500,000.
On B?
Yes, well, we were just talking about 277,000 to 90,000.
Well, B is, no, you mean on C.
Maybe C, yes.
C,
So,
C, yeah, so B is terminated.
well, actually, it was other business A, which we were discussing close to $500,000 or more dollars, and then C we're discussing, which is $538,000. I personally just think that we're talking about close to $1 million, and the budget committee hasn't had a chance to take a look at it, and I don't have clarity on it. I don't want to hold up the operations of this county, and some of these budget amendments are probably needed now. but I don't know how to move forward and give my individual blessing to approve of $1 million of spending without having to take a look at it.
Of the 538,000, I think that was just for claims for the year. So I do not, glancing over the spreadsheet, there's no obligations to use that money.
So that means it doesn't have to be done tonight.
Not that 538,000.
That would be, that's C.
416.
That C could wait is what she's
That
suggesting.
416 has already been obligated. Last year's one.
So C can wait, which is the capital.
And I would have no problem holding that. Ms. Bass, Ms. Matthews, you see a problem with it, you want it?
Yes, indeed.
Unless there's any, Mike may want to speak more on the building grounds contracts that are.
Is there anything you have pressing, Mr. Smith?
It drew me right into this thing.
Well, I mean, I don't know of any kind of painting or plans for, I mean, I know they're down the road.
I think I drove in, I called you name.
But I don't know about the,
We could commit it.
The bottom line is 30 days gonna change anything.
is any of this will impact your, what you're doing right now at the
No, because
repair and
I believe
renovation?
there's something else, there's another bid that's going to, it was on the table, y'all table a few months ago, that would kind of, if we bring that back up tonight, then all this stuff is, it would be months before we could get to it.
And we already have the money appropriated to pay for
Well,
the existing.
why don't we go ahead and approve A, we have a motion on the table for that, and we get to C, we will table that.
I'm more comfortable with tabling C and not A.
I said table C.
I'm sorry, I missed. No,
We can approve A and table C when we get to it.
I misspoke. A is made up of the 90 to 277. We don't know where it's coming from. That's what I don't think.
That is got to come from mine.
That's what I'm saying. That's what we shouldn't approve, and we should table C. So mine would be
That's what you should.
basically, yeah. That's just me. The thing is that the recommendation of all the amendments is lumped into one vote from this body, and that includes questionable items. And this cause is bundled up. I just don't think we need to.
Where's the question? It's not bundled in the agenda. It's a single, the way it's bundled in terms of, but we do have an individual page and amendment
We do.
in this agenda that we could single out and pass. Okay? I'm partly with you in terms of, but there's some things that if you've got questions of
Major items in A, then let us.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm thinking off the cuff, I have this recommendation. How about I make a motion that we approve the recommended budget amendments except for the ones that appropriate fund balance.
That would include the medical examiner. We do have invoices.
yes, and we need a medical exam, and we need a medical doctor. Okay?
Why was this left out of the original budget then?
It's an oversight. Well, the best term is an oversight. We need the continuation of a medical examiner. If mistakes are made, it's corrected here. Okay? Okay. If it's not there, we need to put it.
And I do understand that, Mr. Chairman. I'm just trying to
I know, and I
clarity
think-
on it.
And it's a good question. We raise questions that we all need to have consideration of.
Yes, sir.
But after we do that, then we need to go back and approve that we can. And we do have a motion with a second to approve this. Who makes that?
I like your drawing.
It is withdrawn. The motion withdrawn? The motion is withdrawn. Second motion is withdrawn. Now we have no second. Is that proper?
I heard the second was wrong.
The motion?
It was about.
Will made it withdrawn. Is that the case? Who did you have?
Riverhand.
You withdraw your
Withdrawn.
No, withdrawn. Okay.
Is
Is that is withdrawn, and now we're back to, what is, can you see what you got the concerns for in the budget?
I know I'm gonna take more time from all of us, but I think that maybe
But that's
what we
what
should
this is
do, we
what
should
we-
go through each budget
That is what we,
recommended.
that is what we're
amendment.
here for.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, shall I take the lead?
You got the lead.
All right. So, the budget amendments are not numbered as they normally are, so I'm not able to reference them.
Okay, let's reference them as they are in the agenda.
Yeah, I thought they were numbers.
Okay. In attachment 3 of our agenda, the first budget recommended to appropriate funds from fund balance to cover expenses for medical examiner services inadvertently left out of the original FY 2022 budget. I make the motion that we approve that amendment of $90,000 from fund balance.
Let's go ahead and number them as we go.
That is
That's budget
Number one.
That's budget number 1. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. All opposed, that is approved. Sheriff's Office.
budget amendment number 2. Funds were not implemented at budget approval as requested. Can't pay the invoices until funds are allocated. Capital outlay requested to purchase dictaphone and radio systems. It is an increase of $267,164 to the emergency telephone fund. I make the motion that we approve this amendment request.
Second. Question? All in favor, that's budget number 2. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved.
Budget amendment request number 3. Roll grants forward into the new fiscal year 2022 from the Soil and Water Conservation. It is $5,722.74 and $64,840.37. I make the motion that we approve this budget amendment.
Budget number 3.
Second.
Question? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved.
Budget amendment number 4 from our fiscal officer. Fund balance appropriated $22,929.01. Appropriated for the purpose of the adoption program, promotion program.
What does that mean?
These are funds that we just left out of our budget.
Well, no, not left out.
Okay.
They were not all used in the tax.
So this is a rollover. I make a motion that we approve this requested budget amendment.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Second. Question?
Question is, what does that mean? What is the adoption promotion program?
Department of Social Services, one of their
Okay.
state grants that they receive each year.
Budget amendment number 5 request.
All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved.
Number 5, budget amendment request. Roll forward USDA grant funds remaining at the end of fiscal year 2021 for speed sewer project, $311,336. I make the motion to approve this budget amendment.
Second.
Question? Budget, that's number
5.
5. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, approved.
Budget amendment number 6 from our health department, continuation of the AA 543 COVID enhanced detection for fiscal year 22, $477,896. I make the motion that we approve.
Second.
Question? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it's budget number 6. Moving on, number 7.
Number 7 from the finance department. To appropriate funds from the fund balance to cover total biotech lease payments for fiscal year 2022, inadvertently calculated wrong in the original approved fiscal year 2022 budget, $277,703. Can we have any elaboration on this?
That was the one that the auditors split and told us to, split how we pay the payment, and when we did,
was calculated correctly to make the appropriate amount of lease payment.
What's the
I-
lease payment? What's
The
the
lease
cost?
payment for the biotech building, we paid to,
We own the biotech building, so what's the lease payments?
we paid,
The biotech, that's where we were collecting a quarter cent sales tax. That's paid by quarter cent sales tax.
So what's the lease payments for?
Right.
I'm a little confused there too.
Is it for equipment that we may have leased as a county that is within the building?
when I came here, the agreement was already made. It goes from, the county makes the lease payment back to Edgecombe Community College.
This is where we had the, I understand now, I remember.
Yeah.
The funding source that we use,
We're just the.
the new market tax credits, we set up a fourth
That's what
entity.
we are.
Right.
So this was in the budget,
No,
He said it was calculated wrong in there, but
but that's what I'm saying.
Right.
What is the difference? Do we know the difference of what was and what is?
277.
That was the difference. Okay.
I had nothing about that, I said about.
Do you know-
I mean, that might have been called, just me.
When are these payments due? How is it due now? And
Oh,
this-
no, the lease payment, no, sir, that's, we have one coming up in August, and the other one, I think is February, something like that.
Okay.
And you say that we've already appropriated some of this, this is just remaining balance. I suggest we table this and have a discussion.
So is it
Full
enough?
understanding.
If we
I mean,
could-
it's just straight off of the, amortization schedule.
I know, but we
do we need a table or let's take no action? Table.
We can take no action.
Let's take no action on seven.
take no action on seven,
Remember,
just to get clarity. Number 8, recommended amendment to the budget from Finance Department to appropriate funds from the fund balance to cover funding approved for the forestry service, inadvertently left out of the original fiscal year 2022 budget, $106,874.
how we keep leaving these things out of the previous budget.
I'm just not sure. We discussed this.
They were on the agency, outside agency.
I'm sure we did.
Yeah, because I asked Eric what the forestry service was for.
But I don't mean it got put in the budget, but I know we discussed the money.
It was there, just not roll over to the approved budget when we,
So when we saw the final numbers for approving our fund balance appropriation, this number was not.
Who makes, who does it roll in those? Is that, computer software?
Yeah, that's right.
Or person?
that was the computer.
let's take no action, let's take no action until the, committee looks at it.
All right, no action on number 8.
Number 9.
Number 9, finance, to appropriate funds from fund balance to cover expenses for EMS equipment and vehicles, $430,276.
Payments due on these?
Yes, these are ambulances that were supposed to have been ready by June 30th, 2021, but were delayed.
They're, in other words, they're here now.
This money,
But this is Medicaid.
this is Medicaid
This is
money.
Medicaid.
It came 900 some thousand last year. This is the
But the
remaining.
Medicaid money is in fund balance.
But it was in fund balance when we approved the budget, but yet we didn't approve this expense.
It's still money that we're talking about coming out of fund balance.
Yes, sir.
We were told about this. We discussed it.
But I think we're not talking about what you were told about as much as we're talking
I
about.
got it. And you about this is what I'm saying, how we didn't get A to B.
Exactly. When we approved the budget and thought we were only appropriating a certain number of dollars from fund balance, this was not in there.
Right.
We didn't find out why.
I don't think we need no late fees on payments, but we're,
So we approved this, then we have just reduced our fund balance by that amount of money from what we had originally approved in June.
we got 2 more. We got.
So do you know when this is due, is this due now?
As soon as they say the truck can be picked up.
Oh, okay, you got
Truck
that.
close to big Ben.
But
Do you know?
But we haven't picked them up.
Remounted.
Soon as the truck, we'll wait in chassis. That's,
I mean, is that something that's imminent or something that might be months? Do you know?
well, they're saying August, but it could be January.
Okay.
I mean, we're waiting on chips.
Okay, so this is,
Hold out.
and if it's something we need to do, we'll have to come back in session.
Yes, sir. That was number 9. That completes
What's in the
the
agenda?
A of other business.
And we still have,
The capital improvements.
no, we have two at your, two there.
I'm sorry, I did not do those.
You have 15, or you have from planning
Yes,
and from EMS.
so from Ms. Braswell, from planning, there would be budget amendment number 10 for a fund balance appropriation of $66,424 for contractual services. It says roll UDO funds forward. I make the motion we approve this budget amendment.
So,
Question. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. EMS,
Yes, sir. Budget amendment number 11, EMS, to reallocate funds within EMS budget to appropriate additional funds to cover travel and membership dues for EMS employees and attend EMS association and conferences. That's just within the budget. So I make a motion that we approve this budget amendment.
next question. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none.
I'm sorry, did you number that in the letter?
That was 11.
So there were 1, 2, 3. Based on what I'm looking at, about 3 that we took no action on. You got those? Yes, so we'll make sure that, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your patience.
Is anything else to come on? Hey, okay, moving on to, thank you, Ms. Walker. Moving on to B, approval of firefighter field training officer position. You've seen the agenda. That's a matter of something that we overlook. It's not budgeting in money. It's just that we're going to create a new position, is that right? Go ahead, Ms. Jackson.
Yes, sir. Since transitioning the emergency medical services in-house, we've realized the need to add a field training officer position. This is a paramedic level position that includes duties of assisting and training EMS staff, especially newly hired staff. This will help to ensure quality of emergency medical services provided. This position will be at a grade 16 on our salary scale. If approved, we will transition 4 positions already budgeted to this field training officer position. We recommend adding the field training officer position.
Motion? Second?
Second.
Question. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. C, we said that we would table that, or take no action. Table,
It was suggested to table, yes, sir.
Table it, yeah.
motion to table. Is there a motion to table?
Motion, so made.
Question. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, C is table. D, go ahead.
Sheriff Atkinson has been approved to receive a traffic safety grant from the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program. This $109,796 will allow for the addition of a deputy in the sheriff's office who will focus on traffic safety and awareness. The grant requires a 15% match, which will be provided through personnel funds already budgeted to the sheriff's office. This is a 3-year grant, and the local match will increase from 15% to 30% and then to 50%. I recommend that you approve the grant agreement as presented and authorize a budget amendment in the appropriate lines for this grant.
Motion to approve. Second. Second. Question. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. Moving on to E, okay? Corner inducement.
Yes, sir. We have received a request from officials with Corning to amend the development and incentive agreement. Being that the land was transferred to Corning later than expected when the agreement was approved, the timeline for construction and completion of the facility was moved back. At the previously agreed upon incentive schedule, Corning will only receive 9 years of annual inducement payments. Being that it was our intent and their understanding to incentivize the location of Corning's new facility here in Edgecombe County with 10 years of inducement payments, we recommend that you approve the attached revision to the inducement schedule.
Motion to approve. Second. Chair second. Question?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Michael,
Did we, how late were we?
well, so, yes, sir, that, I want to be clear, and what Ms. Beth said is 100% correct, but it was not our delay, it was Corning's delay. They extended the original agreement some months for additional due diligence. So the agreement was originally drafted maybe in December, and then we signed it in April or May. It was extended, their due diligence period was extended to August, and the property was eventually conveyed in October. So through no fault of the county, the timeline moved, but the original 10-year start period never moved to catch up with the timeline. So, it was the intent of, I believe, the parties for a 10-year grant payment. But because of just, it's really not a delay, it's just how long the process took. Because the process took longer than expected, they essentially did not get a year of their grant. They took control of the property late October and would have had to have equipment installed by January to get that first year of their 10 years.
Just following what we agreed to do.
That's all.
We're just pushing out one year. Because I remember in June of the year 2019, they had the wall standing. There was substantial amounts of improvement made on the property. But we're not going to tax them in the year 2019.
Well, it has to be, the improvement has to be there January 1 of the tax year.
Okay. So it was the summer before they actually did it. Okay.
We do have
No additional questions.
We have motion second. All in favor, let it know by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. Next.
An offer to purchase was received from Darius Smith to purchase property the county owns at NC 42 East in Tarboro. This property was acquired through tax foreclosure. The offer is for $1,000. If the offer to purchase is accepted by the board, a minimum 10-day public notice must then be given for upset bid. Property information is on NC 42 East. Tax value is $12,000. The cost to the county, back taxes and legal fees would be $4,457.21. In order to remove this liability from the county's ownership, to recoup the costs the county has in the property, and to return it to taxable status, it is recommended that the Board of Commissioners accept this offer to purchase and direct staff to publish the aforementioned public notice.
Motion. Second. Chair. Question. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. Aye. All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. G.
In accordance with the procedures for funding of the Home and Community Care Block Grant, a recommendation for the allocation of the fiscal year 22 funding is presented for your consideration. Edgecombe County is being awarded $571,363 for fiscal year 22, which is an increase of 0.3% from the $571,211 awarded in fiscal year 21. The total request from providers, which was about $640,150, was $68,687 more than the funding available to the county. After much valuable discussion, presentations from providers, and guidance from the Upper Coastal Plains Council of Government Area Agency on Aging, the attached plan is being recommended. We believe this reflects the needs of Edgecombe County's aging population and the best use of the available funding. Therefore, I recommend that you approve the attached funding plan for the Home and Community Care Block Grant as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Question. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. Aye. All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. Appointments, Tarboro Edgecombe Arts Commission. Ms. Tanya, is that music?
Yes, music.
Music is recommended for that board. You have the application in your package. There's a motion to approve.
So moved.
Question. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, she is appointed. After this, releases for review and approval. Ms. Best, do you have any comments here?
I do not.
No, nothing, not unless you have any questions.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. All opposed, hearing none. Contractor review We on approval, Ms. Beck?
Yes, you see in your packet the contracts for August for approval for this meeting tonight. We have, all of these are repeat except for the Pro Care Services, which is the maintenance of the striker power stretchers and loading equipment and ambulance, which is a total of $98,278.30 and at an annual payment of $14,039.76. The contract for Dr. Winslow, Ms. Terry, Southern Health Partners, and SNE are all recurring or renewing contracts.
Motion to approve contract.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Question.
All right.
Go ahead.
I have a question. So Ms. Bass, on that reference you made, Pro Care Services for the striker power stretchers and loading equipment, it reads that the contract amount is $98,278, but then it makes reference to annual payments of $14,000.
Right.
Am I missing something there?
Is that on payment plan?
That's my understanding.
So we're approving multiple years?
Right.
So it's,
Full contract.
okay. So the full contract amount over so many years is 98, but the year, this year is only 14,000.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct? All in favor, let it be known by vote of aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Departmental reports for review. Water services, any questions from the board? Financial summary report. We have also in your site elections candidates filed, and the district will come back to us sometimes later. Any questions from the manager? Hearing none, moving on to the manager report. Yes.
You will see provided the workforce indicators for Edgecombe County reported as at every meeting. If you have any questions on that.
Any questions?
Is that proposed date for the final work session, is that in stone?
I don't think it is. I haven't,
I mean, I'm good with it, I'm just saying. Is
I
that
think it
what
is.
they're issuing for?
Oh, you're on the UDO?
Yes.
Yes, I think that's the date she's presenting, but if you have.
that's the date that Mr. Evans, the date is what we set, okay? Okay.
I'm good with it, I'm just sure that was something that said this is the day.
I think he probably has talked with the consultant, and this is a date that's clear for them, and he's trying to make sure that it's clear with us. Any opposition to this date? Hearing none, Ms. Best, it appears that we're satisfied with that date.
Yes, sir.
Anything from commissioners, anything to be reported? Hearing none. Attorney's report, anything from attorney? Mr. Peters, I know you don't have anything to report. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we're scheduled to go into closed session to discuss economic development.
I believe also.
And legal matter?
Legal matter.
And a legal matter. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote of aye. Aye. All opposed, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close session to discuss the legal matter and economic development. Thank you.